Hi, welcome to this video and welcome to my channel. My name is Emma and today we're going to talk through my February TBR. So February is a very exciting month for me because February is the month in which my birthday takes place. This year I'm turning 22 on February 22nd, 2022. And I'm just super excited about the day. I think it's going to be a great day full of pairs and just have a nice duality. Just lots of twos of things going on everywhere. I will be getting another tattoo for my birthday, but also in honor of my birthday yesterday, I wanted to introduce you to my new Build-A-Bear that I got yesterday. I went to Build-A-Bear workshop. I was at the mall with my friends and I was like, I'll just walk in and see what they have. And I was about to walk out until I saw this hippo, and he's precious. He has little hearts for ears and he has red boots. And he's precious. So this is Abraham in honor of Abraham Maslow, because I was a psychology major in my undergrad and I am planning on doing a master's in psychology and a PhD as well. So I thought it would be a good idea to name him after a psychologist. It was neck and neck between Abraham for Abraham Maslow and Alfred for Alfred Adler, but my best friend Danny decided that it should be Abraham, so I went with it. And she also got a Build-A-Bear last week, a pink frog named Florence for Florence Price. She's a music major, so I followed in her footsteps with the naming theme. But anyway, this is Abraham. I'm very excited to have him. He's bringing me a lot of happiness yesterday and today, so I just wanted to share my little friend. So first up for the TBR, we're going to talk about physical books and then go into audiobooks. First up for physical books are my book of the month picks. So I got one of the February picks and then I also got an add-on. So for my February book, I chose The Golden Couple by Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen. The Golden Couple is the thriller for this month, which they choose one thriller every month, I think. And I've only been a member for a couple months. So this is my third month with book of the month. How many times can I say month in a row? Take a shot every time. Don't take a shot every time I say month in this little section. That would be insane. But I had not yet chosen a thriller from the book of the month picks I had so far, so I decided to get The Golden Couple. So this is about a therapist who's a marriage therapist and uses highly unconventional methods. On the blurb of the book, it says that if she can't fix you in 10 sessions, she won't take you on as a client, which there are so many things wrong with that statement. But it is very intriguing. How are you doing therapy with 10 sessions? Why are you trying to fix your clients? So many questions. And I believe it is multi-POV, with the 2 points of view being the wife of the husband and wife pair and the therapist, who is also a woman. So I'm kind of interested to find out why the husband is not included as a perspective. But I'm really excited to get into this thriller and see what this subscription service has in store for me. As an add-on, I also chose Sourdough by Sloan, which I saw on like the book of the month backlog and thought it looked fantastic. Sourdough, I'm not sure if it's sci-fi or dystopian or speculative or just, I'm not sure of the genre, but Sourdough is about a sentient sourdough loaf that descends from the heavens and ends up taking over control of the earth, I think. Next up is my current physical read, which is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I'm reading this gorgeous, soft leather-bound Barnes & Noble edition that I actually did not purchase at Barnes & Noble, but I purchased several months ago at a local secondhand bookstore that also sells new releases and new books. So it was like $10 at the front. and I was heading up there with my other picks, and I just snatched it up. But this is a classic that I never had the chance to read at school, and I have not picked up yet. I love a good gothic horror story, so I'm very excited to continue reading this. I am on page 54 right now. It even has a little ribbon bookmark, sprayed edges, gorgeous, gorgeous, and it has these gorgeous end papers as well. The next book I'm really excited to get to this month because it was a recent release, but I have already heard really good things from the people that have read it, and that is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan. So this is, I believe it bridges between young adult and like new adult or regular adult. But it is, as stated, about a young woman who is the daughter of the moon goddess. The moon goddess was exiled, and the people who exiled her don't know that she has a daughter, and the daughter doesn't know that her mother was exiled, and that's why they live far away where they do. So the young woman discovers all of this when her mother, I believe, gets taken back by the people who had exiled her in the first place, and she has to go save her mother, and she learns about all of her mom's secrets and about her mom as the moon goddess. So I am very excited to see what this gorgeous cover has in store. Next up is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I've never read the book, so I am very excited. It is all based on true story. It takes place in Savannah, Georgia, which I think might be my all-time favorite place in the South. This is just a nonfiction novel, I guess it's a novel, about murder, lust, wealth, all of the things, and lots of scandal. So John Brent, the author of said book, is the self-cast main character. He's a Nick Carraway type. He comes to Savannah to write about and report on something specific and ends up caught up in this world of society parties and heavy scandal, conspiracy, all of the things. I, like I said, really adore the movie. There is actually one person in the movie who plays herself, which is awesome. But in the movie, they are real people, but they're being played by actors. And so I am very excited to read this book and get kind of even closer, a degree closer to these very fascinating real life individuals. And last but not least on my physical book list is The Sea of Monsters by Riordan. This is the second book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. And if you didn't see my reading goals for 2022 video, the name just left me for a second there. If you didn't see that video, I am planning on reading all of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, as well as the Heroes of Olympus and Percy Jackson's Greek gods and Percy Jackson's Greek heroes this year. That makes 12 books in total, so I'll be reading one each month. So this is the one that's up for this month. If you've never heard of Percy Jackson, which I find improbable, but hey, I know people are out there who've never heard of Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson is a 12-year-old that just so happens to also be the son of a god. A Greek god, that is. His mom has raised him his entire life. He knows and loves his mom. But in a series of interesting and unfortunate events, he discovers that he is actually a demigod. So he goes to live at Camp Half-Blood, where all of the other demigods are, they learn to train, they learn to fight monsters out in the real world, and they're protected by magical boundaries. So Percy goes out on a quest in the first book, The Lightning Thief, and when he comes back for his second summer at Camp Half-Blood, he discovers that there is another quest that needs completing because the magical boundaries that protect all who work and live at Camp Half-Blood are compromised. So he needs to go see about that. I love these books so much, so I'm just really excited to get to read this. They fly so fast, and this one is even shorter than the first one. Keeping with the Greek myth theme, the audiobook I'm listening to right now is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. So this book is just a retelling of the myth of Ariadne, which is actually not something that I am super familiar with. Whenever I studied any of the Greek myths at school, I never really got to learn about Ariadne. I kind of knew about Theseus and the Minotaur, who are part of her story, but I didn't really know about her part in that whole thing. So Ariadne's claim to fame is that she's the sister of the Minotaur, who is her brother. I don't want to share much else lest it be a spoiler, but I'm really enjoying the writing style. It's very dramatic, very kind of Greek tragedy play-esque, and it's making the story, I don't think this story could be boring, but it's definitely making it very engaging and enjoyable. Sorry, I might have moved my tripod. That was an accident. Next on my audiobook shelf is Last Book on the Left by Ben Kissel, Marcus Parks, and Henry Zabrowski, which are the guys who host the Last Podcast on the Left. If you don't know Last Pod, it is, I feel, so I always call it that. I feel like it feels wrong to say it, but saying Last Podcast on the Left is kind of like too much. So I just call it Last Pod, like they're my best friends. So if you don't know Last Podcast, it is a horror, true crime, paranormal, cult, all of the above podcast. These guys are super hilarious. They do amazing, incredible research. Two of them are actors, one a comedian. So Henry Zabrowski for sure is like a comedian and a character actor. Marcus Parks is a writer and a researcher, journalist kind of guy. And I really don't know what Ben Kissel does, honestly, but he's got a great personality. But The Last Book on the Left is essentially a book where they take their heavy hitters, their serial killers that they've covered on the show, and expand their research, lay it out in a narrative format rather than a spoken and conversational format. So I'm really excited to listen to this book because Marcus Parks does, like I said, incredible research. He really spearheads the research on the podcast. I know Henry Zabrowski also does part of the research, but I'm just really excited to listen to their book and get their storytelling in more, like I said, of a narrative format than a conversational format. Similarly, next up is Last Call by Elon Greenbriers. Sorry, I had to look at my notes. So as I'm editing this, I looked at my notes again, and I cannot figure out for the life of me why I thought this man's name was Greenbriers. It's actually just Elon Green. So huge apologies to Elon Green and everyone involved. Last Call is a true crime nonfiction book that is about the Last Call killer, who was a serial killer operating in New York City in the LGBTQ scene, and basically at the last call of gay bars, he would take someone home with him, and then that man would turn up dead. So I'm really interested to A, learn more about the Last Call killer because I don't know a lot, and B, get to learn more about the New York City LGBTQ plus scene in this particular period of time, which I believe was either the 80s or the 90s. I'm not quite sure. Could be totally wrong. But whenever it is, I'm just really interested in learning more about the scene out there and kind of what LGBTQ life looked like at the time. And also the police response and how they caught this killer. And lastly, the father of criminal profiling himself, I will be listening to Law and Disorder by John Douglas. Can you see how excited I got? Last week, I listened to Mindhunter by John Douglas, which is his more of a memoir about basically his whole career and the process of inventing criminal profiling, which he did with his coworkers in the behavioral science unit, which is now the investigative support unit, but used to be the behavioral science unit. He changed it so he could take the BS out of behavioral science. Now it's called the ISU, and he is now retired, but he's still consulting with the unit and writing books. So in Law and Disorder, John Douglas talks about the cases that he's worked in which either the justice or penal systems were abused, either, to incarcerate someone who was not guilty or to release someone who was. And there are a couple of stories that I have heard whisperings of, but I don't necessarily know a lot about that are in this book. So I'm very excited to listen to this book from good old Mr. John Douglas. But those are all the books on my TBR for this month. I tried to keep it conservative because I know I'm gonna be busy. I've got my birthday and then some friend birthdays this month. Also, I'm still trying to get back into like focusing and reading a lot and also making videos, so I didn't want to set too high of an expectation for myself, but I feel like this is reasonable, and I also may not make it all the way through this list. But thank you so much for watching this video. Leave me a like and a comment and a subscribe if you would like to. Let me know what you're reading this month, or if you have read any of the things that are on my list and what you thought about them. Abraham and I thank you very much for coming to our channel today. I hope you are doing well. If you're not, I hope it gets better soon. I hope to see you around some more, and I hope you love what you're reading. Goodbye.